Welcome to episode 8 of Unlocked Radio, right here on Morning Show Central Radio Network. We're here to provide you with gaming news, gaming perspective, and gaming discussion. Be sure to like us on Facebook, www.facebook.com/unlockedradio. Also follow us on Twitter at Unlocked Radio. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/user/unlockedradio. That's a complicated one. But if you forget any of that, simply check out our website to get all that info we plug here at unlockedradio.com. Check out our other shows on the MSC Radio Network, morningshowcentral.com. For those of you listening in on your phone, you can join us live in the chat, morningshowcentral.com/watch. And for those of you who are here in the chat, you can listen to your show on your smartphone, search the App Store for TuneIn Radio, download the app, then search for Morning Show Central. Also, you can call into the show at any time while we're here today talking. If you have anything to interject, to add, any questions, toll free, 888-668-0742. And now my beautifully bearded co-host has one quick advertisement to read off from one of our sponsors.
All right, well, I got my Lakewood Computer thing, but Chris, what's up with this T-shirt thing I found down here?
T-shirt thing?
Yeah, like 10th caller gets T-shirt or something.
No.
Oh, that doesn't apply to us? Okay, cool. All right, just making sure.
Sorry to get your hopes up, guys.
So if you are in need of computer repairs or just want to cut the cost of ink, cartridges, printing supplies, count on Lakewood Computer in Lakewood, Ohio to provide it all. For the past 5 years, we've been providing you with a huge assortment of computer equipment and services at very competitive prices. We purchase and sell pre-owned desktops, laptops, and related equipment. We offer outstanding prices on aftermarket printing supplies, including toner and ink cartridges. In addition to our cost-effective computers and computing products, we also provide service and repairs for HP LaserJet printers and a complete menu of personal as well as commercial computer repairs. With 29 years of personal experience, we are highly confident in our ability to enhance your overall computing experience. Check them out online at www.joeslakewoodcomputer.com. All right, now let's get back into the show.
Yeah, evidently we both have some trouble reading aloud tonight. But let's get down to brass tacks. Tonight we're talking about...
It's really small print.
It is very small print, and for some reason not, but I'm just a retard. But today we're talking about the massively detailed world of MMOs and the uprising of MOBAs. We're joined by Tracy Chapman McGillicuddy Bartholomew III, expert of agricultural philosophy and an avid cow farmer. Is that correct?
That's
not true at all.
Wow. Don't forget his extensive research on the lost city of Atlantis before its decline. He actually introduced arcades to Atlantis. Yeah.
All right. None of this is true, but he does have a vast knowledge of MMOs and MOBAs, and he's here to keep our discussion fat and juicy, whatever that means. Tracy, say hello to our guests.
Hi, how are you guys doing tonight?
All right, let's go right into it. We want to talk about some of the newer ones in the MMO world. Obviously, massively multiplayer online RPGs, for those of you who don't know, and if you don't know, you're probably a retard. And then MOBAs being our multiplayer online battle arenas. New ones that you're looking out for, Tracy. Give us somewhere to go here.
Yeah, some of the new ones that I'm looking at are basically Final Fantasy XIV is one of them that's coming out right now. They're doing their big beta right now, and they have been basically tweaked their entire world, revamped it completely. It's amazing what they have done with it. It's got to the point when they've taken what was originally a boring and drab game and made it so that people can actually enjoy it. They've cut the learning curve a lot because the difficulty curve on that game was really, really steep, but at the same time, the enjoyment factor and the story that it provided was completely shallow.
Yeah, I remember back Final Fantasy XI pretty much bored me to tears.
Oh man, it was
guys. There's a reason that I was into Phantasy Star more than Final Fantasy. However, Final Fantasy has a much bigger fan base for some reason.
But if it's an MMO and it's supposed to keep going, how does it necessarily become final? How does this fantasy end?
Well,
when they get boring and everyone stops buying it.
The whole thing with the final thing was that each game is supposed to have its own independent story. Final Fantasy XI was one of them that did have its own independent story.
And they're always about the end of the world in a way. Or some shape, matter. It's always something really epic that ends up happening, but they always go on with a pretty good story. As far as this new one being 14 being an MMO, you said that they changed a lot of things, made everything better, tweaked it. What sets that apart from the basic MMO?
Well, basically, it got to the point when the game didn't have anything to offer other than a straight grind fest. All you did was just level. and there really wasn't anything that you could find story-wise from the game. It was extremely shallow. You got to the point when you were doing nothing but running around, killing monsters, and dealing with their really horrible interface that was laggy.
You mean our least favorite part of those games?
Exactly.
I was gonna say, like, see, for me, that was always what kept me away from MMOs. Is that all that it seemed like to me was a giant grind fest. And it's like, oh, I can go. There's new content every week or whatever, and I was like, yeah, the new places to grind and do the same thing over and over again. Go kill this thing. Go kill this thing.
Well,
And-
that's why I like Diablo 2 when it came out, because you didn't really have to grind too hard. You just kind of jumped in and just kind of played, and then after you beat it, you could, modify. You
just go kill a bunch of
Yeah,
cows.
you could up the level setting and then replay through the storyline with your character all again, like a second time, but with a higher difficulty setting. So you really didn't have to do the grind, and it had a really good storyline to go with it.
Yeah.
So it was entertaining. Not to mention, you could always just join parties with a bunch of people and just wreck shit.
Yeah.
So
There's another MMO coming out that I feel is gonna maybe blur the line for a little bit, maybe get some people who aren't necessarily in MMOs into them. It's a game called Destiny. Bungie is making it. The people that made Halo, obviously. Now, I read the UK magazine X360, and they had a few things about the fact that it's going to pretty much crush Halo. I was like, well, that's kind of a different game. It seems to blend the best of Borderlands, the best of Call of Duty, the best of Halo, all into one big melting pot. And what it comes down to is a shooter, something that's more action based, going to work better or worse as an MMO?
Most of the time, usually shooters kind of work worse because you get the people who are so used to playing the game on the point and click aspect or the WASD aspect and having skill levels and magic and things like that they actually get detracted from the game by having a gun. It's the fantasy genre has been so saturated with this medieval time thing that it's got to the point that people don't want to do anything with guns, and it's getting really hard to break people free of that.
Yeah. I notice that once you get sort of into that niche, it's kind of hard to get out of it. But for those of us who aren't necessarily into the medieval thing, is that something that could possibly get them into other MMOs, or is it really just going to be they'll play that but they still wouldn't like anything else?
They'll play that, but as it stands now, there's a lot of other MMOs that are coming out that are trying to incorporate gunplay into it. I mean, even Final Fantasy 14, hate to go back to that for a second, there's talk of maybe a class that's going to be a gunblader, that's going to have a sword that uses a gun in it. And a lot of people are saying, well, guns come into Final Fantasy, guns come into whatever game, what's the point of having magic when you have, missiles? Well,
that I can understand. My biggest issue with the gunplay is that I expect when I'm playing a first-person shooter, when I'm playing Call of Duty, I expect accuracy to be in my favor. If I shoot you in the head, you're dead. I should not have a random roll and I possibly miss, even though I shot you in the head. How did the kind of RPG stats? How do you feel that works with an MMO?
Well, most of the time, usually in MMOs such as like Anarchy Online, to mention an old classic, the way they would kind of function that in is they would give body armor to the people that you were shooting at, and based upon those body armor stats or their shields or whatever they had, you do a certain amount of damage to them that would fluctuate based upon what you were fighting. If you're fighting a boss and you shoot him in the head and he has this ridiculously large shield, you're not going to instantly kill him by shooting him in his head regardless.
Yeah, I feel like somebody who has to do the basic magic and the role playing, rolling the invisible dice that you don't see, versus shooting someone in the head. People who are using guns want that to be an instant kill, but the people who aren't using guns do not want to get insta killed by getting shot in the head.
Look at the nice Resident Evil movies and games. Like the bosses, you shoot them in the head, they don't die. There's a reason for that. The reason that they don't die is because they're giant mutated things. There's a reason that they are a boss.
Yeah, that's very true.
So
I want to move on to Infinite Crisis. There probably isn't something we're going to touch on a whole lot because it seems that anytime I look for it as either somebody doing the first time playthrough where they're like, oh, here's my review on this game. And by review, I mean I'm going to play the beta for the first time ever and just kind of guess at what's going on, not really know what I'm talking about, not even being a fan of DC Comics, and just kind of go based off of my general knowledge of MOBAs. That's the majority of videos I find, the majority of articles I find are basically saying that it's some groundbreaking thing because they're using the DC and the multi. Is this really that groundbreaking of a game, or is this just is this what could be League of Legends with DC skins?
It's basically League of Legends with DC skins. I've taken a look at it. They completely ripped off the Dominion map. It looked like I was watching League of Legends with somebody that just basically took the entire game of League of Legends and just put DC skins on all the characters.
And on the maps.
Yeah.
They re-rendered the maps. All right, the turrets will render them yellow this time.
Yeah, I saw a few things
idea.
about being able to throw people across the map and having it destruct and having a destructible map to make you feel like you're as powerful as these superheroes, which seemed kind of cool. It seemed like instead of just going your turrets and their turrets, your fortress and their fortress, you have 5 different points. But that's similar to the Dominion map, is it not?
It is.
So they're doing the same thing, but are those extra little things like things coming into the map and changing the gameplay a little bit, the destructive aspects of the map, do those change anything? Do the actual special powers and the multiverse of having 5 different Batmans on screen, do those sorts of things add any value to general MOBA players, or is it just something that will appeal to somebody who's a DC fan?
It may actually add value, but it kind of depends upon where they go with it. Because when I was watching a small little tournament that they were doing, they had it in super strength where you can literally just pick up a car and just chuck it at somebody. It explodes. It does massive damage. But if they put too much emphasis on it, it can end up breaking the game completely. And then they'll just have to nerf it, and then it'll just be another vanilla MOBA.
Yeah.
Well, League has gone through a very long period of time of nerfing, buffing, buffing, buffing.
Like every other week, yeah, they're nerfing a character or they're buffing a character because this champ hasn't been played by anyone in the past 6 months. Why?
Well, they do that because, they have to keep the champs fresh. Unfortunately, what ends up happening is they nerf this guy and buff this guy because no one ever plays him. And then next week they're like, well, Nasus all of a sudden is too powerful. We need to nerf him. 1 week later.
Yeah,
we have somebody in the
constant focus.
We have somebody in the chat asking about a MOBA called Dawngate. I actually have no idea what this is. Does anybody know?
I have never heard of Dawngate. I feel bad for not knowing about it, but
it
sounds
says it's a new MOBA. I don't know if it's one that's coming out soon or has already been out that we don't know about. Evidently, if none of us know about it, it probably doesn't have a whole lot of quality, anything to bring to the table. Maybe
it might just be underhyped right now. It might be a small producer.
Yeah, sometimes they're sleepers.
It's something that we'll have to look into. Kyle will try to do that.
Yeah.
If you have any links to show us, you feel free to put them into the chat and we can talk about that.
There's always games that that
you can even call into the show, like we said, and give us a little bit of a tip on exactly what this game's all about. Remember, 888-668-0742. Don't forget that. One thing. Go on. What were we saying?
There's always those games that they're coming out by small companies. They got a great storyline, et cetera, et cetera. But they don't get the hype because they're not being advertised by a big company. They're not from the big companies. Right. So a lot of times we don't hear about them.
Right. Or what Tracy said, where it becomes too revolutionary and it's not familiar enough to the people who play that genre, and therefore then no one touches it. What about the other one that I'm really looking forward to? Elder Scrolls Online. Now that's a game that's always been an RPG, always let us have a big open world to do a bunch of stuff with. And everybody that plays Elder Scrolls, I guess it's been a pretty big thing. I know I myself have wanted it. You talked about wanting it to have that become an MMO. And from what footage and stuff has come out, do you like the idea or not?
So far, I do like the idea. The only thing that I don't really like about it is the fact that it's split up in systems. No MMO should ever be split up, because it gets the players feeling like they have to make a choice of which system they're going to actually have to buy.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be nice, but it seems like because of the mechanics of a particular system and the controls, I can see how it might have a little bit of an issue, but in the end, isn't that just all data going to the same thing? Couldn't they have that on the same servers? There's just different graphics for the most part and different control schemes.
Well, even having different servers connecting to one another, at least, something along that line. There's a long system in that digital realm that they could find a way to tie it in somewhere.
Well, 2 different people can play a fighting game and have the X button be 2 entirely different commands.
Yeah.
So I don't see why using a joystick and using a computer and a mouse really has that much of a difference, other than maybe lag issues or server issues with that. But I feel like that's something that if they tried to, they could work out.
I feel like it can definitely be compensated for. It can be worked around.
So what is the story basically behind Elder Scrolls? How are they going to turn this into an MMO while still retaining that epic storyline that you normally have from an Elder Scrolls game?
From what I've seen, they have 3 factions, and then the 9 races so far that they have are split amongst the 3 factions. And it actually gets to the point where you're trying to like compete with these other factions for, you know, territory and everything like that. I mean, you even got to the points when you're taking keeps to get to the point when you can be the emperor, I think it's called, or something along that line. And then basically it's going to be working that way so that it has the competition aspect while at the same time having the adventuring aspect.
Yeah, I did see something
So
that I thought was,
three-sided WoW.
Basically.
All right.
it's a tri-fuck clusterfuck, basically. What I saw was that you have the ability to level your way up, create factions, make them stronger and stronger, and take over more territory, and eventually the end goal is to become the ruler of the entire kingdom, and therefore by doing that, I'm hoping gives you access to new things and a new type of style of gameplay, or maybe you're in charge of all these other people in your faction and you decide what kind of things that they put into the game, maybe give you some sort of manager or moderating aspect to it. Or is it really just going to be I'm called the king, but I still run around and kill stuff just like everybody else?
Well, I would hope that they would have some function with this, because otherwise it'll just be Guild Wars 2 without the wipe every so often in faction versus faction versus faction.
Yeah, I feel like it's back in Grand Theft Auto Vice City, where it's supposed to be basically like Scarface, where you're becoming this drug kingpin and everything else and taking over everything, but it turns out that you're still doing all the heavy lifting. What's the point? Why can't I have henchmen? Where's the game where I get to just go off and have henchmen? I believe they made a game like that.
I think it's called The Sims. You control everything. You tell people.
But they don't kill each other.
I'm your lord and ruler. Go do that.
That's a good idea for a Sims expansion pack. Sims Medieval Realms. Just have like you and like another person can like command armies and just tell.
I just feel like the whole RPG is role-playing game. I want to play a role. I want to play a deep role. You can play a regular RPG where they have a really good, involving, beautiful story, or I can play an MMO where you kind of go off and do cardboard cutout tasks.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But then the meat of that, the meat of that sandwich is the PvP and being able to go against other people. Now, what is your favorite aspect as far as MOBA or MMOs? Sorry, what gets you into those?
My favorite aspect has always been crafting. It's something about being able to make millions upon millions of dollars in a game by just sitting there and crafting. I'm like, I just made this thing, and this guy wants to buy it for $2 billion. Okay.
That's a pretty hefty. That's a pretty expensive thing. What kind?
Hey, it's not real money.
Well, right.
And like, some games, though.
Right. Well, people used to do that. They farm gold and sell that off at in World of Warcraft. They used to do that. Now and then, people. I guess the game was like, no, that's our property. You can't sell that for real money. Why not? I put the legwork into it. Why can't I make money off of it?
Yeah, this is like a real job. I sit here, I work to get my gold, and then I sell it for a profit in the real world.
EverQuest is a really big one where people sold like characters for $800.
RuneScape, MapleStory, etc., etc.
I actually had a friend that sold their WoW account for $1,728.
Ew, Jesus.
But yeah,
God.
back to that Elder Scrolls thing with the being able to take on the roles and possibly modify things. I'm sure you heard about Mortal Online when it first debuted. Yeah,
he doesn't like the idea.
From the beta to the actual release, far too many things changed. I know because I was actually a couple of my friends were in on the beta for that, and it was phenomenal. And then when they released the actual game and my friends bought it, they're like, "Are you kidding me? What did they do?"
That sounds like Hammer and how that thing just went down the tubes.
Well, the Elder Scrolls Online, it kind of seems like how the Mortal Online beta test went. So,
that would be rather unfortunate because they're putting a lot of work into this game from what I've seen.
Well,
but
hopefully it doesn't shift the other direction after the beta. That really upset me with Mortal. So,
yeah. Well, what kind of things are we looking forward to? Like things that separate Elder Scrolls from the other ones, because Elder Scrolls has always done a very good job of setting their RPGs apart from other things. Even though you still have to have the main things that are in any RPG, they do a really good job of always giving you something that you can't get anywhere else.
Well, so far they're going to be making improvements on the combat because in a lot of MMOs, let's face it, combat is really drab and boring. It's hit 1, hit 2, hit 3, rinse, repeat. They're trying to get bonuses for getting out of the way of attacks, hitting things from the right positions, things that basically operate just off of you being in the right place.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like I would want that to be a little bit more dynamic, a better animation, something that won't be so stale after about a month of gameplay. Because the one big thing about MMOs is you put a lot of time and effort into it if you really like the game. I remember way back in the day when I played MMOs, under playing World of Warcraft, playing City of Heroes, I enjoyed the animations and being able to do something different, which is why I got into City of Heroes, because there wasn't a superhero MMO before. There wasn't a superhero game that didn't suck.
No, there really wasn't.
All of them were terrible, and City of Heroes was pretty good for a while. And now, I mean, I look back on it and I don't know what I was thinking. But
it's just because it's dated.
It's because it's dated. It's still better than DC Universe.
Oh, DC Universe. Poor Sony.
Moving back over to the MOBA side of things, Defense of the Ancients 2 is the most recent release of a main MOBA, and that is where we know League and everything comes from. We went from the original Dota being a modification of Warcraft 3, and then from there spawned Heroes of New Earth and League of Legends, and now we're coming all the way back to Dota 2 under Steam, oddly enough.
Which blew my mind when I saw that happen. But
have you gotten a chance to play Dota 2? What improvements has it made?
I have got a chance to play Dota 2. And the wonderful thing about Dota 2 is, unlike League and the other ones where they try to nerf and buff, think of Dota 2 as having every character be overpowered.
That's kind of how I felt about Heroes of New Earth, whereas you had certain things that broke the game, like orb stacking, for example.
Yeah.
But the free-to-play aspect of League made people constantly donating money, making little micro purchases that allowed the developers to constantly work to balance the system out. Which the buffs and nerfs, as much as people get mad when it's their champ that gets buffed or that gets nerfed, it helps balance the game, and that makes things constantly fresh. With Dota 2, are they gonna, by releasing everything at once and making them extremely overpowered? I did see that the graphics were pretty darn good, and it looks like it went back to Warcraft 3 kind of roots. Are they taking a step backward by going to Dota 2, or are they taking a leap forward from where League and Han were?
They're taking a leap forward, because while every character is overpowered, they do make minor tweaks to things that get way too overpowered. Like having a character that, before the beta ended, could literally drag you back from the middle of your lane to under his own turret.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, they nerfed that pretty quickly. But they do make improvements, they do make changes, but it still is where it stands that they try not to tweak it too hard, because they don't want to make it so that the characters lose who they are.
Right.
Because sometimes MOBAs do that. They have a character that's too strong, they nerf him, and all of a sudden this character is no longer what it was, last week.
Yeah, you can't have a big buff guy running around and just doing no damage. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Well, they did that with League actually recently with the one of the newest patches. They changed a lot of the abilities. They changed they actually took a couple things from the Dota 2 beta test, including the leash and drag back across the lane. That's an ability of one of the champs in League now. I saw that, and I'm like, why is he dragging me into halfway across? Like, I was at my turret, he hooked me and pulled me back to his. I knew that got nerfed, real quick, but still, I was like, that came from Dota 2. That wasn't here before.
That is in fact the character Pudge, who you can just say, I'm not even halfway here. I'm off somewhere in the shadows, and I'm just going to throw my hook and drag you back here, and then dismember you when you get here, so you can't move.
I mean,
a la Scorpion?
Yeah, Blitzcrank had something like that, but not quite as overpowered. So I can guarantee that's going to end up getting nerfed down. But again, like I said, that came from Dota 2. Which makes me think that the developers of League are actually playing these other MOBAs.
Of course they are. Where do you think they get most of their ideas?
Competing.
All right.
I know some Riot guy's gonna find me and snipe me somewhere or something.
Well, all right, we got this idea guy over here at this company that came up with this idea. This guy over here came up with this idea. But they work for different companies, so let's just steal the ideas from each other.
Yeah. Or steal the employees.
That's actually a better idea.
Steal the employees, kidnap them entirely.
Here's what we're going to do. We're going to get a lasso and some duct tape. What?
I'm going to strap you to a chair, kidnap your wife and daughter, threaten to murder them if you don't make our game better.
Develop for us.
Hey, I heard
Maybe that'll even be a story arc.
I heard you came up with this great champ idea. So what we're going to do is... Does it smell like chloroform to you?
So we have people in the chat room commenting that it's for Dota 2 being so overpowered, the characters being so overpowered that the cast is actually balanced, and that Dota 2 ends up being a high risk, high reward gameplay. How do you feel about it? Is that true?
That's pretty much how it is. I mean, there's one character called Anti-Mage who literally has to farm for about 20 to 30 minutes. And then when he's done farming, he just comes up and you're just like, you can't kill him. He's got all of his items and he's just like, you can't do anything about it. But if you stop him early game, then he's nothing. And that's how it works with some of the characters.
Yeah, you're always going to have, your rock, paper, scissors type thing. You got your early, mid, and late game.
Yeah.
Who's overpowered when? I usually try to go for more of a balanced champ, but unfortunately there are some times where I just can't help but choose Nasus and go for that super powerful late game. Oh, I'm sorry, you're trying to run away? Ignite and Q dead. Yes, gotcha. All right, we're good.
And that's one of the things that Dota 2 actually has going for it. It gets to the point when it's like, oh, well, they picked all of these people that are late game. We'll just pick a bunch of people that are mid game, and then we'll just stomp through their towers, and they're not strong enough to do anything about it because they need 6 items and we have 2.
Yeah. Yeah, you getting that early, that little bit of an edge. You got to try to make sure your team is balanced. You got to make sure that, not only skills, not only champs, but also early, mid versus late items. You have to, counter pick for your opponents. It gets really in depth, but having everyone overpowered at the same time allows for a balance. So you're not going to have to nerf the characters every week. And that's one thing about League that bothers me is I have to relearn how to play my champ week by week. I don't like doing that. I'm sorry. Like, all right, 1 week, they changed some of the abilities, and I'm like, okay, so my passive is now different. I learned how to, tap and go. I learned how to, just get in there, poke around a little bit and get back to my turret without, dying because of my passive.
Yeah, that's one of the things that
I'm not gonna do passive. Like,
that's talking about this is one of the things that I wanted to ask about next was with these new games coming out with Infinite Crisis, with Defense of the Ancients. I know that we've said multiple times that 90% of our fan base is into League. Games like League, how is that going to or even with the MMOs, with the new Elder Scrolls and Destiny, how are the old ones that are already existing that everyone likes? How are they going to compete now? How are they going to keep themselves relevant? Most specifically, League, because it is pretty much one of the biggest games out there as far as competitive gameplay, especially.
Well, with League, the way it will pretty much work is wherever the competitive scene is where people will stay because they want to get competitive. They want to be like those people that are taking home all of this money to play this game. And some of them just want to stick to where their friends are. The whole reason I still play League is because I have so many friends that play it.
That's why I started playing it.
Yeah. See, I played a little bit more casual. A lot of my friends played very competitive. When I first learned to play MOBAs entirely, starting off with Dota and then moving into Han, playing with friends when I was living in Texas, and they were very competitive and got me really into that. So, of course, I lean towards Han because once you get that game, the people you learn, you start learning those mentalities as well. You start learning that style of gameplay. Now, but the thing is you said before, when somebody makes something completely unique and completely revolutionary, it's very difficult to get them into that. What say one of these newer games that's coming out, specifically on the MMO front? Once you get them into that, MMO is something you have to put a lot of time and effort into. If they get those people to go over there, are they really going to even bother with the game they used to be playing?
It depends upon how casual the other games are. I mean, with League of Legends or Dota 2 or anything else, it works where you only have to dedicate 40 minutes to 60 minutes, sometimes even just 20 minutes to play. With MMOs or previous MMOs that they played, it's going to get to the point when it's this time sink versus this time sink. Do I want to sit and craft, for 60 plus hours to make this epic item later on this game, or do I want to sit and grind for 60 plus hours on this game that's outdated and the grind sucks?
Yeah. Kyle in our chat says, got to 1800 in season 1. Now I go to anger management once a week.
Sounds about right.
Then playing Dota 2 will be scary for you, Kyle, because your blood pressure is going to spike when that boy Chronos spears you.
All right, got it. So when I play Dota 2, I need to be somewhere I'm allowed to smoke.
Yes.
I'm just going to have a cigar hanging out my mouth.
Yes.
Whole game.
All right. We've talked about those. When we come back on the show, we're actually going to be interviewing our guest here, Tracy. We're going to be interviewing his gaming history, how he got into MMOs and MOBAs in the first place, as well as how, for those of you who haven't gotten into them or are thinking about it, which ones you might want to pick to get started, and what makes them good in the first place. We're going to talk a lot more in depth about the pros and cons of the genre itself. We'll be. You're listening on Unlocked Radio. We'll be back in, let's say, 10.
Time for a break with Kit Kat. I mean, wait, what?
Give me a break. Give me a break.
Okay, he was PMSing.
You're listening to Morning Show Central Radio Network.
I know. Oh my God, I know what we're gonna do. Oh, it's so delicious, I can almost taste it.
If you're looking for the best sub shop in town, look no further. Hanini Subs, located at 7310 Lorraine Avenue, is the place for you. Stop in for a cold cut sub, cheeseburger and fries, wingdings and fries, and so much more.
I can almost taste it.
Hanini Subs at 7310 Lorraine Avenue is open 24 hours a day. Check them out on Facebook, facebook.com/burrito crazy. And if you mention MSC Radio Network, you'll get $1 off your meal. It's all good at Hanini Subs.
So damn good.
The following message is for those with a credit score of 800 and below. Who wouldn't want better credit? Did you ever wonder how different life would be from just having a higher credit score? Are you tired of being turned down for any kind of loan or only offered high interest rates because your credit score is holding you prisoner? Life doesn't have to be that way anymore with access to Turnscor. By increasing your credit score only 50 to 100 points, it can potentially save you tens of thousands of dollars in interest over just a 5 to 10 year period. It can be the difference in getting approved for a personal loan, business loan, high limits on credit cards, a brand new car lease, or even a home mortgage. We see so many ads from companies that give us our credit score, but once we get our credit score, what are they going to do to actually repair your credit? Unfortunately, nothing. Until now, Turnscor is the first automated credit repair platform that is simple, safe, and secure. You'll be empowered right from the comfort of your own computer, so you can challenge and repair your credit report to ensure it's fair and accurate. Turnscor is specifically developed with you in mind. There's no more need for an attorney, credit repair companies, or credit counseling. More importantly, no more need for paying higher fees. Turnscor will help you get back on track and get the buying power you need. So whether you have bad credit, average credit, or even good credit, Turnscor is helping turn lives around one credit score at a time. Go to turnscore.com and enter the promo code MSC20 and get $20 off your purchase. That's TURNSCOR.com. TURNSCOR.com. Turnscore.com. Looking for reliable and affordable Shoutcast audio or video hosting? JWN Media offers complete Shoutcast hosting solutions for business or personal use. All plans come with full listener stats, custom web scripts for implementing your service into your existing website, full server control, super fast network, and huge bandwidth limits, a 99.5% uptime guarantee, and friendly, knowledgeable support personnel dedicated to making your hosting experience fun and easy. With plans starting at only $3 a month, you have no excuse not to get a server of your own. Plus, with the option to add auto DJ and on-demand services, you can be confident your station will be all it can be. Custom plans are also available at their website. Simply visit jwnmedia.com and click the Shoutcast hosting link to get started right now. You're listening to Morning Show Central Radio Network. Hey, local bands and unsigned artists. What if I told you there was a place in Cleveland where you can get your merch made and have it sold in one location? What if I said you could bring your CDs and tickets to upcoming shows to this location? And what if I said you could do live acoustic sets at this location? I bet you're thinking there's no such place in Cleveland. Guess what? You'd be wrong. Contact Rick Navario at Rock City, Cleveland, and tell him you need merch made and you want to sell it in his store. Now, how cool is that? You can tell your fans to come down and get your stuff, and I think he'd ship your products to your fans. And he's local. Contact Rick Navario at Rock City, Cleveland today. 216-622-0377. That's 216-622-0377. If you have a product or service, let people know about it. Get your message out there and advertise on MSC Radio Network. It's easier than you think, and the whole planet is listening. Find out how you can advertise. Email Chris at morningshowcentral.com.
I knew something was wrong when a little pretty white girl ran into a black man's arms.
You're listening to Morning Show Central Radio Network. P99 Technologies. Affordable and reliable web hosting done right. Jumping from one web host to another can be frustrating. Finding a good web host can be unnerving for even the most experienced of web designers. That's why Uncensored Net Noise has chosen P99 Technologies as its web hosting supplier. Established in 1999, P99 Technologies has evolved into a first-class web hosting provider. Its 99.9% uptime rivals many in the industry. That's why they offer their 30-day guarantee, no questions asked. For more information, go to P99.com. P99 Technologies will help you get started with your web presence with honest and expert customer service. P99 Technologies. Affordable and reliable web hosting done right.
This is President Barack Obama, and you're listening to MSC Radio Network.
If you're looking for the best in musical equipment, recording gear, sound reinforcement, and more, Guitar Center has you covered. Guitar Center, located at 26635 Brook Park Road in North Olmsted, has the tools of your trade with the largest selection of music and sound gear in the area. They cater to your musical needs and have the knowledge to help you out. Guitar Center in North Olmsted. morningshowcentral.com uses them. You should too. Need to know more? Go to guitarcenter.com. With hundreds of live weather products and layers and thousands of combinations, Weather Studio provides a professional graphics and store monitoring solution without complex user knowledge and without the industry standard price tag of $1,000 plus broadcast systems. Weather Studio displays a plethora of critical atmospheric and geophysical data on an interactive GIS-enabled computer map. Get your free 14-day trial of Weather Studio at their website, weatherstudio.paulmarv.com. That's weatherstudio.paulmarv.com. Lakewood Computer, located at 14035 Madison Avenue in Lakewood, has it all. If you're in need of computer repairs or want to cut the cost of ink cartridges and printing supplies, count on Lakewood Computer in Lakewood, Ohio to provide it all. For the past 5 years, Lakewood Computer has been providing you with a huge assortment of computer equipment and services at very competitive prices. Lakewood Computer purchases and sells pre-owned desktops, laptops, and related equipment, and they offer outstanding prices on aftermarket printing supplies, including toner cartridges and ink cartridges. With 29 years of professional experience, Lakewood Computer is highly confident in their ability to enhance your overall computing experience. Check them out online at joeslakewoodcomputer.com. That's joeslakewoodcomputer.com. Or give them a call toll-free, 855-580-0768. That's 855-580-0768. User-friendly and ready to serve. morningshowcentral.com. Call the show toll-free. 1-888-668-0742. You're listening to Morning Show Central Radio Network on morningshowcentral.com. Oh, great. Not another farm bill request. Check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/morningshowcentral. Denying one farm bill request at a time.
All right, and we are back here at Unlocked Radio. Now, you got to check out morningshowcentral.com/watch, watch us live, and get involved in chat. You can also check us out on Facebook, do that, Twitter, Unlocked Radio. Just Google Unlocked Radio, you'll find us.
UnlockedRadio.com gives you everything.
UnlockedRadio.com does give you everything. All right, and did you know that 9 out of 10 wildfires are caused by humans? That means 9 out of 10 wildfires can be prevented.
You son of a bitch in humans.
Goddamn humans. So if you've got camping plans coming up, just know that there might be many ways to start a fire, but there's only one sure way to put it out.
Green Lantern.
So before heading into the wilderness, armed with marshmallows, hot dogs, and the like, learn to properly extinguish your campfires by following these simple steps. First, drown your embers with lots of water and dirt, then stir them with a shovel or a stick, then drown the embers again, then see if the fire feels cold with your hand. Boil, yes, use your hand to test. All right, if it doesn't feel warm, you're an idiot for touching hot fire, but start over. Follow the proper steps, and you can prevent a huge disaster. So before you leave, remember to drown, stir, drown again, feel. Because your fire might look out, but that doesn't mean it is out. For more information, visit smokeybear.com, and remember, only you can prevent forest fires.
Forest fires are an assassin. You think they're gone. They're not. They're watching you from the shadows.
I'm watching you from the shadows.
Uh-oh.
Especially in your bathroom.
This got weird.
What? Speaking of awkward, Tracy, what are your plans for tonight? No, I'm kidding. Who am I kidding? I already know.
A restraining order.
Nah, speaking of awkward,
not another one.
We want to know about your childhood. No, seriously, we want to know about your childhood, your gaming history. We want to know because we've been talking MMOs, MOBAs. Now, obviously, they haven't been around forever. They haven't been around since we were kids playing the game. But when they did come out, what was the first experience you ever had with an MMO?
The thing that got me really excited was when I saw Phantasy Star Online episode.
Oh man, that Dreamcast!
The Dreamcast! I had such a blast with that.
How is that dial-up modem MMOs?
56K.
Why did someone call me? It paused my game. I was fighting.
I was just about to kill Dark Pulse. So close. But no, seriously,
used
just
to love that game.
Being able to play with other people. I met so many people on this game, and just the immersion, just not having to play things by myself anymore. You know, that whole antisocial gamer thing.
Or having people come over your house and having your parents embarrass you.
Yeah.
Did you do your laundry? No, I'm playing Mortal Kombat.
I'm trying to kill a dragon.
Take out the trash.
But Mom!
I'm taking out my enemies.
But yeah, so all right, so apparently, online gaming helped Tracy stop playing with himself.
I have nothing to comment on that.
No, seriously. All right, you started off with Phantasy Star Online, game that I hope everybody knows about this game. If you had a Dreamcast, you played this game because it was phenomenal. Great way to pick up your character, customize the crap out of it, play with a bunch of friends. You could play if you wanted to by yourself. It was really boring single player. It was very boring single player, but then it was like grueling and awesome at the same time if you played online. Like we said, the 56K made it very upsetting sometimes. But when it worked well.
When it did work well, and eventually when I got DSL, everything got better.
Yeah. DSL saves lives.
All right, so you started off with Phantasy Star Online, and then that game was good enough to make you find more? Did you wait out for Phantasy Star Universe, or when they remade Phantasy Star Online for the Xbox?
Oh, that would have been a really long wait. But no, I actually went to go search out other games. The first game that I actually did find was a game called Nexus TK Kingdom of the Winds. Oh, that is such an old game. Not many people know about
childhood.
it.
Yeah, you're giving people nerd boners left and right.
I mean, this was a game where you could get to 99, and their way of extending this game, their end game was for every 20 million experience that you had, you could get an extra 100 life. Well, when you finished the game, you were at 3,000 life at the 99 portion. I stopped playing that game when I was at 845,000 life.
What are you going to do with 845,000 life?
Not get one shot by the guy that's hitting you for for almost 700,000 damage.
Or turret dive. There's no turrets.
But the community aspect of this game was amazing. It was actually a game where the entire economy, the politics, everything was all ran by players. The developers of the game decided to give the players complete creative reign, just free realm, and they would actually develop to this. I have yet to really see that in another game yet.
Yeah, that is unheard of. Maybe we can see that in the new Elder Scrolls.
I hope so.
Elder Scrolls never disappoints. So if you're listening, do it.
See, like for me, I like the style of RPGs. I like being able to play those when I found Phantasy Star Online. I played it as an offline RPG, but one that I could run around and do action-style stuff instead of turn-based strategy. Once they got away from turn-based RPG, I
got my nerd boner.
Yeah, I fell in love with the genre. Then you got to being able to play online with Phantasy Star Online and things of that nature. And then you went from there to Nexus. Where did you go from there?
From Nexus, I moved over to Ragnarok Online. Yep. It was my first 2.5D click adventure. It had skills. It reminded me of Final Fantasy Tactics. It was just amazing to be able to somehow work all this stuff to work together. Parties, just bosses, everything was great about it. It got to the point where I think I put somewhere in the neighborhood of 2 years into that game. Just
Only 2.
Only 2? Like, wait, you mean 2 collectively?
2
No, 2 straight. He actually disappeared for a while.
Oh, well, I tend to do that
2 years in a
sometimes.
hyperbolic time chamber.
With a computer and Red Bull.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Dude, the eating habits. Sorry, I have to bring up because MMOs come with some strange eating habits. I know for me,
Ramen, granola, crackers.
oh, just completely unhealthy. No, because I remember what I used to do. I went in and I went to the grocery store. We got a giant thing of instant mashed potatoes and instant gravy. And I would get mac and cheese, and then I would get the you get the big thing of Tyson chicken at Sam's Club, the little chicken poppers, the popcorn chicken you have,
the 5-pound bag of chicken.
Right, and I would basically I would put all of these in the microwave because I wanted to save time. But while I was waiting, like my computer starting up, doing whatever, I'm getting into the game, talking with friends, getting them in there while waiting for all this stuff to cook, and then I would just have all of this. Instead of just putting it in a bunch of different plates on my desk, I wanted to conserve space, so I got one big bowl, mixed in the gravy, the mashed potatoes, and the popcorn chicken, and the macaroni and cheese all together in one giant pot with a spoon, and I would just have at it.
And thus KFC's mashed potato bowls were born.
He is the guy who did it. Blame him.
It was not Colonel Sanders. It was actually Rio.
Yeah, it's basically all my food groups combined into one giant bowl because I didn't want to have to get up again. And of course, I would just have a 2-liter instead of getting a cup.
My way of doing it was I was looking for a party on Final Fantasy XI that could take about a half an hour. So I just took like this metal thing and crafted a way to section off my pot and literally would cook like 4 different things at once while searching for parties.
Oh, man.
Yeah, online gaming created very, very peculiar gaming habits, and I believe that's why Mountain Dew actually decided to invest in a name called Game Fuel.
Right. Because in order to further make me question how I ever got a girlfriend.
Not only question how you got a girlfriend, but question how you were under 300 pounds by
That's
the age
very
of
true.
16.
Well, I like physical activity too, but then there's a little game called DDR that helped out with that.
Yeah, that kept you in shape. Football practice kept me in shape, and needless to say, once I stopped that,
Yeah, hockey, skating, other types of things. Wishing I was Tony Hawk, but wasn't. Back to all right. So we were at Ragnarok. Was the next one? Where did we go
Ragnarok,
from there?
and then from Ragnarok, after those 2 years were over, it was about 2003, and Final Fantasy XI came out.
And we lost our last female listener.
I'm sorry.
Wait. My girlfriend's still in the other room. We're good.
All right, so we go to Final Fantasy XI.
And when I got to Final Fantasy XI, a lot of people had this problem getting into it because the grind at the game was just soul crushing. There was nothing worse than this grind. But then you got to the community aspect of it, where there were people left and right that were telling you, how to do things. People that were going out of their way to help you do these things, such as getting your first sub job.
Instead of just Flame Wars?
I didn't get into my first Flame War until I played League. Just saying.
Wow, you're a late bloomer.
I got into it on Tribal Wars.
But while playing Final Fantasy XI, I started to notice something that, the crafting aspect, the hunting aspect, the soul-crushing grind, it wasn't so bad because the thing that draws people into MMOs is the community.
Yeah.
If the community is a good community on the MMORPG that you're playing, it'll keep you playing for years.
And rightfully so. That's what sets it apart from other games is being able to be with an entire community, basically all at once.
Yeah. I mean, who needs real life when you can have online gaming communities?
Yeah, we can get married in World of Warcraft. We can have a whole wedding and everything.
I know a couple people that actually have had EQ2 weddings.
MF. All right. So now we have Final Fantasy XI. That's 2003, 2004. Yes. Okay. And then where do we go from there?
So once people finally pried me away from Final Fantasy XI, and it was extremely hard to do so, I started to drift around a little bit to kind of see I had missed why I had been in this hyperbolic time chamber with this bowl of chicken and Kool-Aid. Anyway, and I just noticed that all of a sudden there were all these games that were out. There's EverQuest 2, there was World of Warcraft. I tried World of Warcraft, I quit World of Warcraft, moved over to EverQuest 2, and I played that for a little while.
I didn't have money, so I played Guild Wars, also known as Poor Man's WoW.
No, Guild War 2 is out if you want Poor Man WoW 2.0. Anyway.
Hey. I thought that was
Poor Man's WoW
North.
was RuneScape. Poor Man's MMO is RuneScape. Don't play RuneScape.
Hey, if you don't have money,
Friends
RuneScape
don't let
is
friends play RuneScape.
not the game for you. Just play MapleStory.
Friends don't let friends play MapleStory either.
So, all right. So then, when did we go over to MOBAs? Because MOBAs came from RTS games, technically. So that's a big. That takes kind of away from MMOs. The only similarity is the fact that there's a lot of people doing it. There's a big, large community.
Well, when I was playing EverQuest 2, I noticed I was starting to run out of time because I had more gaming than time to do. So I started to look around for other games. I played a lot of, third-party titles that were really out there. Mm-hmm. And then I had met a guild who all of a sudden said, hey, let's try Land of Chaos Online. That was my first MOBA. And they laughed at me for about 4 hours as I proceeded to feed, not know what minions were, try to fight people under their turrets, just get all around wrecked. My KD was like 0 and like 22.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I was that noob.
Wow.
Yeah, if I was your guild, I would have dropped you like instantly. I would have been like, yep, too noob. Go learn on your own. Yeah. Come back, talk to us when you're, at least 50-50.
They couldn't drop me. I was part of men.
All right, so where did that start changing? Where did you go from the noob feeder?
Well, it definitely wasn't when I started playing League because my first Tristana game was 0, 18, and 1. That's 1 assist, 18 deaths, and 0 kills, and I was the carry.
Holy mother of pearl.
Sounds like me when I'm playing support. Oh, wait, no. My support games actually go more like 13, 15, and like 1.
Stop taking my kills in the carry.
Dude, I'm sorry, I cannot use Volibear as support.
All right, so eventually you start ironing out those kinks. You start getting better. Where do you start seeing the change? Where do you start seeing your segue into not being Scrubtastic McFaster?
Basically, somebody told me play Singe. He allows you to troll the other team. So I did. And just there's something satisfying about running around their jungle with poison and having people follow you because Singe gets kills because people are stupid.
Yeah.
And but it started to get to the point when only having that one map was starting to grate on my nerves. It's just this one Summoner's Rift over and over and over again. So then finally Final Fantasy 14 came out. The first one, and I played it, and that was the biggest disappointment of my entire life.
Well, the single map is actually people complain why is there only one map? Well, because it's not about mastering the map; it's about mastering the champions.
Yes, it is.
And so that you have a static map, so you can focus more on learning all the champions, mastering certain ones, and figuring out where your gameplay lies.
Yeah, but at the same time, it does stagnate after a while.
I totally agree, but I understand why the developers do it that way.
Yeah.
Now, what if we had 10 different maps? How would that change the game? Would it really make it better, or would you just get
like they do now?
Angrier?
It would make people angrier, probably. Much more angrier.
Some people get angrier. Some people find their own little niche. Like, I know a lot of friends, they like the Twisted Tree Line 3v3 map. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of people like the 5v5 at Summoner's Rift. I know a ton of people that play Howling Abyss just because ARAM is fucking hilarious.
So, speaking on that topic, what is it that makes a good MOBA? What makes a good game for a battle arena? Is it just one arena, a bunch of champions, a few champions, the buffing and the nerfing? What exactly makes it makes a particular game in that genre stand out? What makes it great?
Good teammates.
Yes, good teammates definitely do make the experience a lot more enjoyable.
All right, so the community.
But basically, from what I've seen, it's having characters that have differences from each other, so that you're not playing the same carbon copy over and over again.
Yeah.
I mean, when you get MOBA, if the characters can't carry the game to the point that it makes you want to actually continuously play, plunk down 4 or 5 hours into this game, then it's just going to end up stagnating. You're just going to leave. I know some MOBAs that only have 12 characters. No one still plays those MOBAs. Land of Chaos Online. But anyway.
What if all 12 of them are vastly different versus one that has 100 and there's only 5 different types?
If there's only 5 different types, even though, the community of League of Legends has created that meta itself, it really can't work that way, because why not just have 5 or 10 characters?
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like, would
Different
it be
skins.
better?
I mean, some people like running a werewolf, and some people like running a
Guy
dog.
in a seal suit.
Yeah, I mean, like, you got, all right.
Earth.
I'm just saying, corporate swag Mundo.
Mundo sell good.
All right, well, what about on the MMO aspect? What is it that makes a good MMO versus just the same? Because we've already complained about the same grind fest and everything. But for someone like myself who only casually played them and never really got into the genre, I never found my niche in there. They all seem the same to someone like me. Now I am open-minded enough to know that that's not necessarily the case. But what sets them apart? What makes a good one?
Well, I mean, this is basically opinion, but I feel if they can balance the quest with the grind with the amount of travel time. Travel time is one of the biggest time sinks in every MMORPG that you will ever play. There nothing says hell like running around for 15 minutes to get from one side of the map to the other versus teleporting.
Guild Wars Prophecies?
But then you have some people that say, well, teleporting is too new age. I played EverQuest 1, you noob. I used to walk everywhere. But you have to balance out the hardcore aspect of the MMO with the casual crowd, because if you can't do that, then the casual crowd's eventually going to leave, and then you only have 1,000 people playing your game.
Right.
And then they're all going to get mad at each other anyways.
Right.
So.
Then it's just a dive bar where the same 70-year-old people are there, and once your people die, then no one's playing your game anymore. So, all right. So as you were saying.
But yeah, you have to balance all of that. Then you have to somehow bring in crafting, because people need something to do in downtime. You're not always going to be in a party with people. Your friends aren't always going to be online, and you're not going to want to level beyond them.
Yeah, you want to have that ability to, all right, one of my teammates is eating lunch, one of my teammates is walking their dog, one of my teammates is having sex. So what am I going to do in the meantime? Do I log off and go do something myself, and then hopefully we all come back at the same time, or do I craft?
And most of the time, usually people pick crafting or what they call farming, which is basically hunting things for money. But if you make farming hard, which some MMOs actually do, then it makes it so the person only has crafting. They don't have anything to choose from. You're instantly alienating part of your population. If you make crafting redundant and pointless, then you're alienating that other half, the people that like to make things to make money.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
well, like, you got to look at a game like Monster Hunter. The whole purpose of that is farming, basically.
Yeah, farming.
Well, they're coming out with Monster Hunter Online. They're having a new MMO for Monster Hunter.
Monster Hunter is go out, kill beast, sell beast.
And
how do you sell a dead beast?
I don't know.
You tranquilize it.
Let me just drag this dragon back to town. Yeah.
I mean, I've trank bombed a dragon before, and just tossed it over my shoulder. I have this little cat partner. He could hold like its toenail.
What you got over there? Like, just a big freaking monster.
It's just a Rathalos on my back.
They can see the cops come by, like, sir, license registration, please. Like, I'm just carrying a monster.
I'm carrying a dragon. Are you serious?
Have you been drinking? Do you want to get hit by this dragon? I will wake it up right now.
License, registration, and proof of dragon ownership.
So what about for the casual game, or not necessarily the casual gamers, but for people who play other style games and they've seen their friends play MMOs and MOBAs and they want to play that game with them, but they haven't. Let's say they saw World of Warcraft and tried it. It wasn't for them. Is there a particular MOBA or particular MMO where someone can segue into this genre, a good starting point?
There are a couple out there. To name a few, I would say if you could get your hands on Phantasy Star Universe, It basically is a nice entrance into it. It still has the smaller group aspect where you're only playing with a party of 6 when you go on your missions instead of like trying to find a party from billions of people. And they all set up rooms and you can instantly get into those parties, and it'll slowly introduce you into the crafting aspect and everything like that while not making it overwhelming. It won't make it something where you have to craft or you suck.
All right, and
Skyrim?
what about on the MOBA standpoint? I'm assuming most people would just say League.
I feel like League is a bad place to start with that.
How many people talk shit to each other on League and how competitive it is? I don't know if that's necessarily a good place to start. So where is a good place to start?
I would go with Command and Conquer 4 or like Total Annihilation. I would actually go with one of the RTSs to get into that.
To get into the overhead, managing resources.
And then also, you want to, do a little bit of work with some tower defense so you can learn one side of it. Then you get into the MOBA where now you're fighting against the turrets instead of upgrading them. So
I would actually say a good place to start is Dota 2 now. They have an extremely extensive tutorial that basically reworked it to show you how to actually play a MOBA game.
And I believe it showed when they have the 3 different, like when you say what's your level of play, like I'm a pro, I know MOBAs inside and out, I'm a bit rusty, it's been a while since I played one, or what the hell is a MOBA?
Yeah.
That's basically what it says.
And go through your tutorial.
Unfortunately, it looks like we're running a bit short on time here, so...
Yeah, that is true.
Anything else we got to cover?
Let's say if I had to pick just 2 games for your favorites and that you think other people should be playing. One MOBA, one MMO.
Final Fantasy XI and Defense of the Ancients 2.
Okay, not a bad one.
I might go home and download Dota 2.
So I want everybody to thank Tracy. I want to thank you for coming onto the show. I want everybody to give shout outs to him on his Facebook. Shout outs on our Facebook page. Obviously, facebook.com/unlockedradio. At Unlocked Radio for our Twitter. YouTube.com/user/unlockedradio because they like to be complicated. Or just go to unlockedradio.com for everything. You can see our past shows and everything else. You're watching Unlocked Radio on morningshowcentral.com. We'll see you next week.
Thank you to Morning Show Central for having us.
Absolutely.
Again.